a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together.
One is an education, not just to the students, but also to the faculty and staff, that people can fully understand the addiction, because if you don't understand it, you can't really fix the problem. The second, being a safe place to go if you are a student with addiction. If I had an addiction problem, I can't celebrate and do things the way a lot of students do it. I can't just run the Friday Street. I can't just tailgate and get drunk with my buddies, as a lot of people on campus do. I think they need a safe alternative that up until this year we've been lacking. And third would be a program in place to help along these students in their education.
I think it's important for these things to be in place because, especially for young people, one, they need to know that there's an alternative. If you are, have been in addiction for a long time, there's a certain lifestyle that you become, acquainted with. There's partying, there's, there's a certain bit of fun to it. And so to be able to see and be able to experience having a good time without being, inebriated, I think is important.
It's benefited me in my recovery and my college career because it's making me more aware of recovery, and also just as a group, my first year in a group and stuff, it made me, realize what you need to do for a group and how to build it and make sure it stays strong. It's also like a great place to just, unwind and stuff. So it's also fun, but also very knowledgeable because you learn about the steps of recovery and stuff. So it's definitely good for anybody that's going into that field too.
It would help being part of a CRP program with the school for my graduation through UNT, because I would have people around me that would be influencing me to do better at school, to get my school stuff situated, still maintain alive, and just it be an overall better experience for me socially.
I think myself, we're talking collegiate recovery program at UNT and actually creating one. Specifically, what I would like to see is specialized academic advising, sober living facilities, whether that's a real learning community at one of the residence halls that exist or off-campus housing, financial assistance in terms of scholarship. If a student is meeting certain requirements, they have certain recovery milestones, then let's give them assistance to stay in school and help ease the financial burden, because that's something every student in recovery is probably dealing with.
Your long-term recovery at the college level is getting better so that you can become more successful in life, so that you can do well in your academic life. Socially, college is a time to build a lot of connections, hopefully lifelong connections, and that's what's going to set you up for your career. So you need a stable life in college to really be successful in the future.
Long-term recovery for a college student is often a very difficult struggle, especially at first. If we were to provide the education and people to truly understand the illness and disease that is addictions, we would, a lot of people would be on board, and it definitely would have a great life success.
Me personally, the direct benefits I think that I get, I have a 15-year-old son. I can bring him here and there are activities that he can do, like the sober tailgating, that I'm not going to be afraid he's going to be exposed to something that is going to be damaging, or, influenced in some way. Like I wouldn't bring him here if I knew there was a keg, and so, so for me, it's a good thing just to know, even for myself, that I can go somewhere.
Long-term recovery in college looks like working for my goals and succeeding, having people that support me, having a plan. Yeah, it would be success, graduating, and just like I said, reaching my goals.
What would most benefit a person in long-term recovery who also wants to be a college student would be to have those services here on campus, because it's really important for a person in recovery to have peers that are also in recovery, or at least support the recovery lifestyle. One of the things that you find on college campuses, not uncommon and not necessarily an unhealthy component of a college campus, is a lot of people drink and use drugs. It's part of the atmosphere. Sometimes it's an expectation of a college campus. If a person that's in long-term recovery has somewhere safe to be, and they still can have fun and they still can have the full experience of college, then that's going to be the most safe thing. That's going to be what retains that student as a college student, and that's my goal for a student when they come to school, is that they finish. That they get their degree and that they move on. So that's my hope, is that we can have a place to have people that are in recovery, stay in recovery, and want to come to North Texas.
And that's what we're trying to do at UNT is change this mentality that it's okay because you're in college. It's not okay. It's not okay for anybody to act like that. It's not okay to binge drink or to hurt people and make decisions that affect other people's lives. And it's not okay for us to be making addicts and alcoholics of our children because we don't want to talk about the disease. The disease is real, addiction is real, and it is a disease. It's not a choice, it's not self-will, it's nothing else. It's a chronic disease that affects everybody it surrounds, not just the person addicted. And on the other side, long-term recovery is real and it is possible, and we have to promote that. We have to allow kids the possibility of long-term recovery so they don't have to live life like addicts. And the benefits that we can reap from that on the university level and on the societal and the personal level is huge. And to not talk about it anymore and to say that it doesn't exist is not something we can do.
Collegiate recovery programs on college campuses are successful. They retain the student. They give the student a better experience. What happens to a student if there isn't one? What happens to a student in recovery if there isn't one?
It's